So welcome back to another episode, and welcome to an episode where I take a look at some Nintendo Switch games that I believe deserve a 10 out of 10. Right next to them. I know, and I gotta say, to begin with, this is my list. This is some games that I personally love, some games that really stood out to me, and I'm gonna talk about them all today. I'm gonna explain all the reasons why, and before I get going, I'll say to you guys, what are some Nintendo Switch games that you think are 10 out of 10? And they can be first party or they can be third party, whatever you want. All the ones that I'm going to list today are exclusive as of right now to the Nintendo Switch. Some of them I've talked about, some of them I have not. Some of them I'm bringing up to the table for the very, very first time. And we're going to get rid of some obvious ones to begin with. Yes, everybody has this on their list. It's right here. Oh my god, Zelda Breath of the Wild. How can this not be on the list? A 10 out of 10 game. I've mentioned it before. I will mention it again in the future because it deserves it. It realistically came out of nowhere in the way that it became a 10 out of 10. Because the world building, the scope of the game, I've never seen anything like this in a Zelda game before. Usually we're always doing the temples and things like that, and that's there as well in this one. But my god, the scope was massive. And I started to play the game when it originally came out, and what won me over was not just like graphics or the physics, which are unbelievable. It was a sense of magic and adventure that I had never seen in a game like this before, in a Zelda game. And it reminded me of the very first Zelda. It was building on the idea of that you can kind of go around and do anything you want to do. But this one blew it away. And I remember, I've talked about it before, playing the game saying, I don't think I can continue on. It's too big. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And that's what I like about the game. It doesn't hold your hand. It lets you just go off and experience freedom, true freedom. And that's what I like the most about the game. But this is an obvious one. Of course, it's an obvious one. And a lot of people always say Super Mario Odyssey, and I really love this game. I gave it a 9 out of 10, and I still stand behind that. I think this is a phenomenal game. I really love it. But you know what? It's a 9 out of 10 for me. And yeah, I think a lot of people are shocked by that, but I think that's where it deserves to be. Almost made it as a 10 out of 10. Now, this next game is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this episode. It is because I've done a first thoughts video on it. I've done a review on it, and it's been a few years now, and I want to come back to it because I know this is crazy, but I don't think enough people talk about this game. And I can't believe it. I think people who have played it love it like I do. But there's a lot of people out there, maybe you, who have not played it, and I'm really recommending this if you have a Nintendo Switch. It's a must-buy for the machine. And it's also one of the best Halloween games ever made. That's my humble opinion on it, and that is for Luigis Mansion 3. Now, I love the original Luigi's Mansion when it was not cool to like Luigi's Mansion. It came out on the GameCube and everybody's like, what is this about? Like, Luigi in a haunted house? I don't think I like that idea. I played it on the GameCube. I fell in love. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And then we got the second game, and I was kind of a bit Luke on that. But then they announced the third game for the Switch. And I gotta say, I thought it looked good in the trailers when I was watching it. I thought, oh, this looks like it's gonna be amazing. It's not about just graphics with this game, it's the gameplay. My god. Everything you do in the haunted hotel is so unique and so mind-bending, and that's where I'm gonna get to. The puzzles in this game are smart. They're really smart, and they're implemented so well with the levels, and especially with Guigi, who you use in this game as well. The negotiations through this game, through all the puzzles, and I'm a guy that realistically doesn't like puzzle games. But my god, the puzzles in this game were really fun. My wife was sitting next to me, we were playing it, and she's like, hey, why don't you pull that up over there? Why don't you do this over there? And I was like, oh wow, I didn't even think about that. It's a really fun, interactive game for, I would say, for the whole family. I mean, this is a really fun thing. And is it scary? No, not particularly. It's got a few scares here and there, but it's not a scary game. It's a fun game to explore a haunted hotel and go through every single level. I remember pausing the game and just looking at the graphics going, oh my god, yes, the gameplay is there. The graphics are nice, but I didn't realize, and I said this in my initial review, I still think this is one of the best looking games on the Nintendo Switch. I do. I think it is. It's beautiful. The attention to detail is second to none. They really went in and they crafted beautifully made levels to explore and to run around in. And man, I'm telling you, it's a true classic, definitely worth a 10 out of 10. Now, I've talked about this game quite a few times as well, and I've given it a 10 out of 10 in other episodes, and I'm back to do it one more time because it's all part of the Nintendo Switch here. Zelda, Link's Awakening. What can I say? A game from the 90s brought back. We never thought this would ever come back. We never thought it would get a remake of a Game Boy game. That's not going to happen. And we'd be excited about it. We were very excited about it. I was really had the build up, but it wasn't until I played the game, and I finished the game a few times since then. It's brilliant. It's really well done. I love the claymation look of the entire world. I like the 90s aesthetic in the anime look. And I like that they took a game that was from a Game Boy game and gave it the remaster, remake treatment and did it well and did it beautifully and did it for a brand new generation of people. And it's charming, it's beautiful, it's creative, and it's smart, and it's difficult at times. And it's really fun in that way. And it's just fun to explore the world. And yes, there's some slowdown issues. There definitely is that in the game. And I've stated that as well. But I think the overall game saves it for me. And I like that it's a small world to explore. And I'm going to say, and I'm not spoiling anything, I promise you that. But the ending in this game really brought a tear to my eye. And it's an ending in a video game that I think back to all the time. I always think back to the ending of Link's Awakening on the Switch. And it's a very interesting game because it was kind of inspired by Twin Peaks, an old show from the 90s of all things. And they were like, yeah, we want to make something like that, something kind of surreal. And let me tell you, they made something surreal. Also, I want to say, I should have said for some of these other games as well, the music. The music in Link's Awakening, I know it's medieval to do now, but I bought the CD soundtrack because I absolutely had to get it, and I still listen to the music to this day, and it haunts me. The music is very haunting and from another world, and that's exactly what you're going to get with this game. Brilliant stuff. Highly, highly recommend this game. A true little Zelda treasure, a little gem. I think in my top 5 Zelda games of all time. Another game that is an absolute 10 out of 10. Do you know what? It was on the Wii U. I would have given it a 10 out of 10 then. Actually, you know what? I would have given it a 9 out of 10. But when they brought it to the Switch, they added some new levels, brought back the battle mode, and then we got all of the DLC adding even more levels. It is up there. It's probably one of my most played games on the Nintendo Switch. Mario Kart Deluxe 8. Unbelievable stuff. The ultimate Mario Kart game ever made. And I've said this, I really wonder how they're going to outdo this game. How can you outdo perfection? The amount of times I played it with my friend Rob and my wife, we've had so many crazy nights playing this game into the early evenings. Oh my God, and it brings out the demon in you. I've said that before, it brings out the demon in you. You will swear like a sailor at times playing this game, and that's part of the enjoyment. And you know what? I play this game a lot with my nephew as well when I was visiting my mom and sister up north. Beautiful stuff. The game keeps on giving. I can go in the other room, put this in, and have a great time. And that to me is a 10 out of 10 game. I would almost be crazy enough to say it's an 11 out of 10. That's how much I've enjoyed it. Okay, we go into the RPG zone, and this right now is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. It's been out at this point for about a year. Shin Megami Tensei 5. A phenomenal game if you are an RPG fan. And let me say, in this household, we're RPG fans, you might say that. Me and my wife finished that game last year. I gave it my game of the year. And why is it a 10 out of 10? What is it? Well, you're in a post-apocalyptic future world, absolutely desolate. I mean, it's got nothing going for it in that way because it's so desolate. And you kind of feel that feeling of isolation and being alone, and that is the atmosphere. That's the foundation here. And then it's off to recruit demons because the world is absolutely ravaged with demons, and what you want to do is to completely recruit all of the demons and combine them into bigger demons, crazier demons, and fight, yes, guess what? More demons. It sounds fun in that regard. It's almost like Pokemon, but I call it a darker, more adult Pokemon, and I gotta say the designs in this game are unbelievable. The Shin Megami Tensei series has always been that way. The design work is unreal and so creative, and realistically going from almost every single culture out there combined into this world. The music is amazing. I gotta stress that. Got the CD soundtrack for that one as well. I think if you're an RPG fan and you haven't played this and you're new to the Shin Megami Tensei series, check it out. And I gotta say, this is not Persona. A lot of people get those two confused. It's always been the Shin Megami Tensei series, and Persona was an umbrella from there. It sprouted from the Shin Megami Tensei series and became its own unique thing. But over here, everybody knows Persona. They don't really know Shin Megami Tensei. We're trying to change that. I think we're getting there. But highly recommend it. 10 out of 10 game. A lot of nostalgic memories from already a year ago. And I wonder in the future if it will be ported to other machines. Okay, for this next one, me and my wife sat down and we had a big, heavy conversation about the Xenoblade Chronicles series, and we came to a tie with the series on which ones are 10 out of 10s and which ones are just absolute 8.59s out of 10s. The two that we picked are Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, the first one, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna, the Golden Country. My wife absolutely adores Torna. She's always talking about it. We've talked about it a lot in videos. High recommendation on this. Yeah, you kind of have to play two, but you know what? You could also just jump into this and play on its own. You'll miss a few storyline elements, but my wife loves the story, loves the characters in this one the most. Really enjoyed the world as well. For me, it always comes back to the nostalgia of the first game and when it first came out. Yes, it came out on the Wii, and that was good. That was fine, but it wasn't until the Switch where I was like, oh my god, the world building in this game is phenomenal. They made such a sprawling, gigantic world for you to explore, and it's brilliant. The combat is really interesting. Yes, I know for newcomers to the series, you'll say, well, what's going on with this combat? But give it a bit of time, you'll really fall in love. And you'll fall in love with the characters and the story and the music. Everything really comes together. And let me say, at the end of this one, what a surreal ending. For anybody who's finished this game, you know the ending of this game is absolutely insane and wild and, yeah, definitely surreal. I'll use that term. But absolutely, out of the Xenoblade series, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and Torna, high recommendations. Okay, we're getting to the end of the list, and I want to say something. For any of you who like this next game, I understand. It's not one that I would say is a 10 out of 10 for me, but my wife said, you know, it really kind of saved her during the pandemic. It gave her something to play and enjoy, and that game did it for everybody. And that's why this is here, because this game came out at the right time, and yes, it was already a beloved series. I really like the older games in the series, but this one, my wife spent, oh my god, I mean, 750 hours, and I know people have done thousands of hours on it, and that is Animal Crossing. Yes, everybody was playing that on the Nintendo Switch, and it's a game that I honestly look at and I think it's a really good game. Not one that I give 10 out of 10 to, but my wife, because she spent 750 hours, and I got to see her enjoyment of the game, building up her town, talking to people every single day in there, and getting the town bigger and stronger, and just having a lot of fun exploring and interacting every day. I saw the amount of fun that was bringing for her. And so I stand behind her on that as a 10 out of 10 game because she really proved it to me. For me, I like, heavy RPGs and things like that. Animal Crossing is a beautiful novelty game, but man, you can't deny the love of this game to so many fans, and so I'll definitely give it to that. Okay, this is an unusual one, and you'd be like, what the heck? This is a weird one. This is a John take, okay? This is one I pulled off the shelf and I'm like, I'm gonna go for it. Super Mario 3D AllStars. I'm giving a 10 out of 10 on because this has every single thing that I love. All of the old Mario games, all the old 3D Mario games that are now a little bit older. And we have Mario 64 in there. And I know another controversial game that I really like. It came out at a beautiful time. I imported a GameCube back in the day and I played Super Mario Sunshine. I know a lot of people didn't like that game, but I want to go on record and say this. You know, it came out at the right time. I remember being on forums back then, and I said outrageous things. I said, at that time, it's the best 3D platformer I've ever played, and I stand behind that at that time, right? It really was. We've come a long way since then. And another game, I got fond memories. I remember working a graveyard shift, coming home early in the morning, and playing Super Mario Galaxy. That game was magical stuff, and that came out at the right time as well. So it was nice to see all these games get a remaster, and I was really happy that a brand new audience could go in and see what these games were and why we love them all. And so for me, why it's a 10 out of 10, Sunshine's not quite a 10 for me, but because of the whole bundle of it, that's what came together, and it's one I definitely wanted to mention. Okay, this is exclusive to Nintendo Switch as of now, and I really love it. And you know, I'm not going to go on and on about it because I have before. But Grandia, the collection, I know you'd be like, what's that? I'm a big fan of Grandia. It was the last RPG I finished in my parents' house before I left. It has a lot of memories, a lot of love for me at that time. A phenomenal game, great soundtrack. That's for the first game. Never mind the second game on the Dreamcast that's on here. And I know they put a filter on. Some people were very upset about that. I wasn't. I was happy to get Grandia back. I was happy to get it on the Nintendo Switch. I was like, yes, I'm getting all those old games from the past back now. Love this stuff. And I want to give an honorable mention to Super Smash Brothers. Of course, I love the game. I really, really do. I didn't play as much as I do, like, say, Street Fighter, stuff like that. I appreciate it. I'm not even that great at the game. I'm going to say that, but I really appreciated all of the character roster. You got to appreciate the work they did in that game for the fan base out there. Remember all the Nintendo Directs? Everybody would be losing their minds. I remember losing my mind when I saw the Dragon Quest characters in. So I've got to put it in there as an honorable mention for the entire community, because that's a game I have never seen a community of people rally around like Smash Brothers. My God, everybody went absolutely nuts for that game, and I played a lot of it. When they introduced Terry Bogard, I'm like, oh my God, this is a great fighting game series, and it's come down now. There's no more characters, it's all over, and you're like, what are they gonna do in the future? How can they beat this? How can they top this? I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe they'll give it a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe treatment where they'll just update all the graphics a little bit, add more. How can you add more? There's so much already in there. I mean, all the characters, ridiculous stuff. So, guys, I will ask you again, what are some 10 out of 10 Nintendo Switch games to you and your friends? Let me know down below. So, anyways, guys, until next time.